So let's get into it. It's our look at Inauguration 2001. All right, now you're just being sarcastic. Big doings down in Washington over the weekend, and one thing became painfully clear. Things are not looking good for Al Gore and his hopes of getting those votes counted down in Florida. Yes, many experts agree that by taking the oath of office, Bush has really backed Gore into a corner. Hundreds of thousands flocked to Washington to witness a peaceful transition of power Saturday, although judging from the crowd's attire, many also expected to witness Gallagher and his warlike sledge-o-matic. Bang! Oh, what chance does the fruit have? The sledge-o-matic, so powerful. Yes, the weather was rainy and cold. But hey, there's some things even the Supreme Court can't control. But here's something they can.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
I, George Walker Bush, do solemnly swear.
Bush nervously moved his hand with every syllable. It was the result of hundreds of rehearsal hours with his sock puppet, Helpy.
So help me God.
So help me God.
The oath back and forth was helpful to the new president, who will spend most of his new administration simply repeating things other people tell him. Not so funny. Bush then addressed the nation with a stirring call to action.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I'm sorry, wrong button. We hit the wrong button. But Bush did do his best to match Kennedy's sentiment.
In all these ways, I will bring the values of our history to the care of our times.
Okay, that was, Kennedy, folksy. Bush pressed on, calling for some national TLC.
Many in our country do not know the pain of poverty, but we can listen to those who do. And I can pledge our nation to a goal. When we see that wounded traveler on the road to Jericho, we will not pass to the other side.
For the other side may have two wounded travelers, for all we know. Can't take care of them and cut taxes. I mean, come on. I'm only one guy. Bush ended his speech with a history lesson.
After the Declaration of Independence was signed, Virginia statesman John Page wrote to Thomas Jefferson, "We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm?"
To which Jefferson responded, "So now I know who's been going through my hemp." It was an exciting day on the steps of the Capitol. And nothing says dawn of a new era like a Lawrence Welk show regular interpreting the music of John Ashcroft.
Like she's never saw before.
Let the singing stop. Who could possibly be red state enough to enjoy that? So she is running for president. But things got even more moral value-ier.
We are grateful to you that you have brought to these shores a multitude of people.
A moving benediction from a minister filling the hearts of the gathered crowd with pure thoughts of their maker. Oh my God, he's dead! Cheney is dead! Someone put a mirror under his nose! Somebody, oh my God! Actually, the truth is they just power him down during the religious stuff. Unplug. It's all about conservation, people. Hydrogen cells and the like. And then it was time for the swearing in. First up, the Vice main event, presided over by Connecticut Senator Christopher Dodd with a surprise cameo by Dick Cheney's famously gay daughter.
his wife Lynn and their daughters, Elizabeth Cheney Perry and Mary Cheney, will hold the family Bible.
Actually, it's not quite true. Mary is not allowed to touch the family Bible. But I have to say, for her sake, really, because it burns. When she touches it, it burns her hands. Feel the burn! And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the official halfway point of the Bush presidency.
I, George Walker Bush.
I, George Walker Bush.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
At which point, 49% of the country also solemnly swore. The president then settled in for his second inaugural address. You may remember the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, used his second inaugural address to declare, "with malice towards none, and charity for all." That's how he said it. Bush's 21-minute oration had themes of its own. See if you can pick them out.
There is no justice without freedom. When you stand for your liberty, those who deny freedom proclaims liberty, the message of freedom, of American freedom. It's advance of freedom in the cause of freedom. Definition of liberty, of freedom, of liberty, and the Liberty Bell attain their own freedom, of human freedom. Liberty. Did our generation advance the cause of freedom when freedom came under attack? Of freedom, of liberty, of freedom toward liberty, the meaning and promise of liberty. Freedom now. For a union based on liberty, of liberty in America's ideal of freedom, our own freedom, the call of freedom in freedom's cause. Liberty for all, greater freedom from want and freedom in the history of freedom. Liberty.
The final score, and I promise you, you can count it yourself in the transcript of the speech, Freedom 27, Liberty 15. It was a noble effort by Liberty, which, as you know, has been playing hurt since the Patriot Act. But in the end, Liberty was no match for freedom, which will now move on to take on justice in the cliché bowl. Should be a barn burner. Now, freedom and liberty will be our charge. For you see, freedom and liberty are our history.
From the day of our founding, we have proclaimed that every man and woman on this earth has rights and dignity and matchless value.
Well, not from day one. It's interesting. There was a brief period, 100 years, we had slaves. But, and women couldn't vote till 1920. But in many respects, it's the thought that counts. But anyway, you were inspiring us.
For as long as whole regions of the world simmer, violence will gather and multiply in destructive power and cross the most offended borders and raise a mortal threat.
They just swear him in as president or dungeon master. Now, having addressed... Imagine if I had delivered that in the Woody Allen voice. Would have been really dungeon best. Having addressed all that is evil, Bush spoke to our friends.
And all the allies of the United States can know. We honor your friendship. We rely on your counsel. And we depend on your help.
Well, depend is kind of a strong word. We get a kick out of it.
America will not impose our own style of government on the unwilling.
Anymore. We tried. It really is not working. But President Bush closed on a high note.
When you stand for your liberty, we will stand with you.
Offer not valid in Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, and all of Africa. First, ladies and gentlemen, what a day. The inauguration of the 44th President of these United States, Barack Obama. He is... Really? You didn't... Stop. You guys... You really didn't know it was today? How long have you people been waiting in line? In Washington, D.C., the inaugural drew, my God, it must be 1,000 or 2,000 people to the mall. But for Barack Obama, the day began, as it does for so many millions of Americans, with the awkward coworker carpool. Boy, that's a sound Bush probably doesn't hear too often when he probably turned to Obama. What kind of booze are these? Happy booze? Better get in the car before they start throwing victory shoes. Actually, in the car, Bush gave his last piece of presidential advice, which I believe was, you know those movies, National Treasure? It's all true. Your gold is under your bed. Then it was off to the legislative red carpet, a veritable who's who of who's that. Statesmen, congresspeople, senators, world leaders, and of course, twins! Yeah. The Bush daughters are fraternal twins. The First Lady, Michelle Obama, looked absolutely gorgeous, the bow suggesting she is in fact a gift for the American people. First Lady of Soul, Aretha Franklin, took that idea to another less fortunate level. And of course, in a blatant attempt to top them, Maya Angelou. My bow sings of the triumphant freedom. Not a big poetry fan. Anyway, of course, the ex-presidents were there as well. There's Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, always up for an open bar party. George H.W. Bush, resplendent in what appears to be a yellow dicky and purple ascot. As always, dressed as the world's most foppish Vikings fan. And of course, the Clintons came and, I'm sorry, are you on the list? Are you? It's C-L-I-N-T? Oh, okay, boy, that's embarrassing. There's one other major figure we'd be remiss if we didn't mention. Over the years, we've made our share of jibes at Vice President Dick Cheney's expense, painting him as some type of evil caricature, a Blofeldian supervillain, someone out of Dr. Strangelove. But of course, he's not that. He's more complex than that. He's a human being who is not evil. Oh, are you kidding me? A wheelchair? I know you hurt your back, but you might as well get rolled out to Star Wars Imperial March with a white cat in your lap, for God's sakes. A wheelchair? You might as well just get drawn with black and white ink. That's what happens. You hurt your back when you try to move those man-sized safes by yourself. Now, I realize that humanity has a general moratorium on poking fun at people in wheelchairs, but, of course, today is a day for making history. And as so many other barriers have fallen, folks, I'd like you to watch this wheelchair-inspired comedy as President Bush and Dick Cheney enter the inauguration festivities, and keep an eye out for it. Zoinks! Hey, what the? I thought I was, hey, what the? Where am I going? Where are you taking me? Why do I always have to go to the undisclosed location? And then it was time for the benediction. The choice of Rick Warren was controversial because of views that many consider to be anti-gay. So I assume the pastor of the not at all gay-sounding Saddleback Church will bring a much-needed butch sensibility to these proceedings.
We now commit our new president and his wife, Michelle, and his daughters, Malia and Sasha, into your loving care.
Malia, Sasha. Dude, is that... You're the anti-gay marriage guy, and it sounds like you're quoting from All That Jazz. Malia, Sasha. Is it me, or did he pronounce Obama's daughter's names like he thinks they're delicious? But no minor controversy is going to quell the enthusiasm of this crowd for this, the most highly anticipated inaugural address of our lifetimes.
Our nation is at war against a far-reaching network of violence and hatred. Our economy is badly weakened, homes have been lost, jobs shed, businesses shuttered, Our health care is too costly. Our schools fail too many. The ways we use energy strengthen our adversaries and threaten our planet.
And then, things got a little awkward.
Starting today, we must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of remaking America. We gather because we have chosen hope over fear, unity of purpose over conflict and discord. But our time of standing pat, of protecting narrow interests and putting off unpleasant decisions, that time has surely passed.
Barack, he's right behind. Here's the sad part. You know what Bush is probably thinking during that moment? Man, this guy's really sticking it to Clinton. This is awkward. So the big speech was finally over, and Barack Obama called for a new American era of responsibility. But one problem still remained. How do you clear 2.5 million people off the Washington Mall? Now, I'm sure there's a button on Cheney's wheelchair that could accomplish that. But Barack Obama wanted a new approach.
I have the distinct pleasure of introducing an American poet, Elizabeth Alexander.
I know there's something better down the road. We need to find a place where we are safe. We walk into that which we cannot yet see.
You know, I'm not a laureate by any means, but isn't this stuff supposed to rhyme? Can anybody help her out? And you know, it's also been about 20 minutes since we've had a prayer. Anyone who could kill two birds with one stone? You! The most adorable civil rights legend I've ever seen. You try it.
We ask you to help us work for that day when black will not be asked to get back, when brown can stick around, when yellow will be mellow, when the red man can get ahead, man.
Now hold on. When blue will be allowed in too, when puce will be set loose, when we rise above the minutia of fuchsia, and orange, screw orange. To the main event.
The First Lady and those new bangs.
Yes, that was. It's a new haircut, and it is difficult to pull off something fun and flirty yet age appropriate. And she does it. So I'm not diminishing the significance of the hair. The point is this. First husband Barack Obama also had his public oath administered today by Chief Justice Roberts. Remember last inauguration when the two famously fumbled the task?
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
faithfully the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States faithfully.
Courteous, kind, and forgiving. Well, the president was nervous then. It's understandable. It was his first inauguration. Let's watch him do it again this time. And just for schnicks, while you're watching, imagine you're Mitt Romney.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
You know, Romney's watching, and I guarantee you, it's one of the first times a devout Mormon has ever used the phrase, oh, f***'s sake. Of course, Mr. Romney was not in attendance, but not to fear, there were stars aplenty. Who better to spot them than Good Morning America contractual hostage George Stephanopoulos?
And look at that crowd gathered now. There's Morgan Freeman, I think, right there on the Capitol steps. Bill Russell, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Thank you, David Rudnick.
In George Stephanopoulos' defense, all tall people look alike to him. I see gray chins. I don't know. Still, for the rest of the morning, Stephanopoulos did a very good job. Right here, of course, we got Venus and Serena Williams coming out. Oh, look at there. There's Danny Glover, star of the Lethal Weapon films. Oh, the dazzling Miss Halle Berry looking fine. And there's, oh, look at that. There's General Colin Powell and his girlfriend, Motown great Diana Ross. And here's a treat, NBA Hall of Famer Bill Russell. Oh, the crowd loves him.